I'm here with the lovely Alina to talk about Everdawn and their latest record, Venera, out December 8th on Frontiers Music. It's kind of weird to have this chat through Zoom. We see each other all the time at shows here in Toronto, so this is really strange. But welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been so excited to actually have that talk for a while. As you say, we see each other all the time at shows, and it kind of was just overdue, and it's finally happening. So I'm really excited. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for taking the time, and let me start off by asking you this. This record, for you personally, how was the experience? How was the journey? How was the roadmap from beginning all the way to the end?
It's funny because you actually ask like such a perfect question off the bat, because me and the guys were just talking about it the other day, saying how original record Cleopatra was kind of, tipping our toes in it, figuring out the direction where we want to go. And Venera was just balls on. We know what we want to do. Let's, experiment. Let's be bold. Let's try new things. In my case, particularly more belting, more hard rock voice, and that was a risk. And because people expect me to sound high, operatic, soprano, of course, and then here comes this deep, dark alto tone. So a listener may even be like, "Is that still Alina? It's still the same singer." So for me, it was definitely this album that just pushed me a little further, a notch higher in a way that I didn't even expect. When we hit the studio, we had only 5 days to track 14 songs, which is an upgrade because Cleopatra, we had 3 days for everything. I was crying. So guys were like, okay, 5 days this time. And I remember just being in the studio for 12 hours a day for Venera tracking. And I would even lose my voice, at like day 4, because of all these jumps, doing the alto belt, then the soprano, then some jazzy, groovy chords that I didn't ever sung before. They were accidental, in truer words ever spoken. And they just, the whole experience kind of took my insides and like flipped it inside out and showed me that I have some, hidden yet depth to my instrument yet to be, discovered. But yes, that was my experience. So definitely kicked my ass.
This is the first record you guys are releasing with Frontiers, not the band's first record, but the first record with Frontiers. How did that relationship started? Who approached who? How did it all come together?
So we have an excellent management team with Lars Larsson from Instrumental. They are in Sweden. We've been with them since 2014, basically since the Midnight Eternal era. And we owe a lot to Lars being so on his, how would I put this, on his toes, just always submitting us everywhere on tours, on like different promos, and our EPK as well. So for the period we were shopping around for label, they handled everything. We just kind of sat down and waited. And Frontiers were like that, like, in the snap of a finger, one of the first labels to reach out to us. And it was just literally no brainer because we just were so honored that they believed in us. It's for obviously for a new band in the symphonic metal genre, which is saturated. It's always tough to, to get people to be more like hooked and kind of see potential in you. So the fact that they did, it was just no brainer. We signed the contract in summer. We had a few back and forth. We did everything the right way. We hired the lawyers and made sure everybody were happy. And we both were equally as interested. And the
What
rest
was
is
it? Was it stressful for you? Did it add an extra level of stress knowing that now you're signed to a major label, now you're releasing a record with them? Oh my God, they must have certain expectations of this record. You have your own expectations of this record. How are you managing all of that?
excellent question. I still don't know how. I'm just kind of closing my eyes and just, one step at a time. Because the serious guys, definitely the Italians. I joke around calling them mafiosis. You never can be late for anything. You gotta make sure you have your ducks in order. It's stressful. Release is stressful because how would I put this? They have so many bands in their roosters, so the schedule is so tight. Sometimes they have multiple releases a day, so we have due dates for 5 days before the due dates, and then the catch up dates before that. So make sure everybody's on track. And I'm like not sleeping the whole last 2 weeks. So we had all these videos, promos. I'm like, I can't sleep. Just but it's a beautiful feeling. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But it's definitely organized chaos in a way. When you're an indie band, or like a smaller label band, you have this leeway of freedom. Oh, whenever I feel like it, I can do that. It doesn't matter. You can be dead, sick. Show must go on. I'm like, alrighty, let's go. So
one of the things I mentioned on my review is that I was shocked. I mean, I was shocked because of the quality of the record. That I have to put that there, because if the album is bad, then I'm not shocked anymore that you guys are releasing this album on December 8th. You figure, you know what, let's put it at the end of the year. Nobody's going to notice, and then we just can move on. But that's not the case. The record is excellent, and being released December 8th, I think there is pros and there is cons. Maybe one of the cons is that you're not going to get a lot of consideration when people are putting together their albums of the year lists, because of being released so late into the year. People already got those lists together and going. The pros is probably the fact that there's not a lot of albums being released December 8th, so there's a little bit of a bigger spotlight on you. How much thought process went from you guys with this date? Did you guys weighted all the different options, and what made this date be the right one?
yet again, being in a major label, we depend a lot on their schedule. So technically, the album was tracked a year ago, so it was done all long time, and then Jacob finished mixing it last Valentine's Day, so the record was ready. But obviously, we wanted to, finalize the legal aspect of the contract. That took us almost the whole summer with all this back and forths, and then you must understand, like you yourself would know that very well, that when you have a date for the album, it's 3 months before that the PR begins.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, if we signed the contract around July, August, right away we entered that territory of let's plan the PR, the videos, and etc. It's a very hideous process to drop something. I know for a regular listener who may just see the date, it's, oh, this is the date when we're dropping, but there's like months of prep comes in before it. So it was just, unfortunately, I agree with you 100%. By the way, thank you for review. It was really touched. It was so in depth and so professional. I loved everything you said.
Thank
100%
you.
agree. With the length as well, I absolutely second that opinion. But yes, point being that you're absolutely correct. Maybe we will make those playlists of symphonic metal album of the year. Maybe not. It wasn't the goal, but unfortunately, we got signed to the record deal almost at the end of the year. So it's just the logistics. But next record, I anticipate we would not do the same mistake again, and it'd be obviously much earlier release.
Hey, it may not be a mistake. My friends in Lord of the Lost last year, they released an album on December 30th, and it went #1 to the charts in Germany. So
This is amazing.
who delivers an album on December 30th? So
That's
I mean,
iconic. I love Lord of the Lost.
so
Amazing.
there's the possibility that the fact that there's not a lot of new music coming out at this time of the year allows people to pay a lot more attention to you guys, and the record then has the quality that it needs in order for that attention to be there, for people to just not just listen to it but really grasp it and dive deep into it. You touched on something that I said on the review, which was the number of songs and the length. Did you guys think about it going into the album? Because the previous record was 47 minutes and it only had 11 songs, if I'm not mistaken. So now you went a couple more songs and you definitely went a couple more minutes.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point to bring because within the band, we obviously have the chat where we discuss, do you guys think it's going to be quite long album, or do you think it's worth the risk? I 100% agree with you. I wish the album was under an hour. because this is the way I prefer listening to albums. Like you said, I want to be hungry after. I want to be, wow, I want this album on a spin again. You know, it's not enough. I want it again and again and again. This is how I think. But guys were so adamant about including that 13-minute long progressive epic in there. Extremely risky from start to bottom. Risky track, risky at the end of the album, considering the length. But you know, we are a team. It's like I listen to pros and cons. Like I guess, you know, if we put in everything on risk, my vocals, the length, the genre. Okay, let's go all the way in. You know what I mean? It was one of these records. So label was super supportive of that. They said, don't worry, guys. You know, we had to obviously double down on the booklet size. I think we had to end up getting 16 or 20 pages for booklet, and for the vinyl we're doing also couldn't fit, so we have to do two. So the label was so nice about it. They like, don't worry, guys. Like, it is what it is. So hell knows, you know. I hope for the next record we'll take that into consideration, and I would remind the guys, come on, you want to leave the listener craving for more, let's shorten a little bit. But Veneer is just upside down world. It's pure risk, you know. So it is what it is, unfortunately or fortunately. So
Who did the production on the album? Because the genre is the symphonic power metal genre, symphonic metal. The production is key. If you don't have the right production for the album, everything falls apart because there's so many layers, there's so much texture, vocally, musically, there's a lot. You guys have incredible production on this record that really emphasizes all the right elements. Like I said on my review, this is a symphonic power metal with a lot of emphasis on power. Like you can hear the drums, you can hear the guitars, which is not something that happens a lot right now, which I hate, by the way. So who did the production for you guys?
Jacob Hansen, one and only.
I should have guessed.
He is freaking nuts. Like this man, like exactly what you mentioned in the review, where every instrument gets its shine, and the bass even. Like people are shocked. You know, first of all, we track the bass, no programs, nothing. It's real drums, real bass, and it's just so high in the mix in the best of ways. I love that. I think it kind of parallels well with the performance we do as a band, because every time, let's say Richard has a solo and he's a big guitar virtuoso, it can be like a 1 minute long solo. What I typically do is I walk off stage because it's his time, you know, and I love that. I wish I could go in the crowd and see him play, because he really isn't his element. So to me, is this like less is more, and Jacob is exact same way in his production. When you're not shining in your a moment, like a vocal, you have a rest, you have a pause, let the instrument speak forward. And it's just constant duet back and forth of every instrument involved, piano motifs as well. I listened to it and we almost didn't do any revisions. Just the way Jacob did it from the first draft, I'm like, yep, no complaints. It's pretty damn good. You know, just do what you do best. And he delivered. Absolutely. Fantastic, man.
He is the man when it comes to this stuff. Like he's incredible. I should have known his fingers were somewhere on it. Now, as a singer for you, having an album like this that has those elements pop, that has that guitar power, like I said, that we don't see as much anymore on symphonic sound, where the guitars are a little bit diluted with the keyboards. Having this more you know, bare bones to a certain degree, where you're going back to the basics and you're really utilizing the bass, the drums, guitars to be the bigger portion of the sound. As a singer, what does that allow you to do? Does that give you more tools? Does that give you more room? Does that give you more freedom?
You know, it's actually nobody ever asked that question, so that really makes me thinking. It more than anything, it reminds me of just overall unity of every part involved, where you can't take anything out. It's just such a how would I put this? It just can't live without one another. It's so together. Everything makes so much sense when it's, you know, poured like in a potion of a witch. All these ingredients, they make the perfect elixir of immortality, if you will. And to me, as a singer, it's nice. I can sit down almost and enjoy the musicianship, the craftsmanship, everybody's talent, like everybody's so badass, and just realization of that is hugely inspiring. Because I agree, so many symphonic metal records these days put emphasis on symphonic, lots of orchestra, which is epic. I love it. I'm classically trained. This is my home. But like you said yourself, it's symphonic power metal. Why we neglect the power, like the bare bones, the skeleton, the classics of the genre? And me diving deeper in this like Bruce Dickinson vocal territory, Dio territory, going again back to the basics, back to the classics. It kind of it demands it. It demands that presence of a power metal element to it. Um, we kind of, as I said, need to step back a little bit to reinvent the genre, if you will. We've moved so far away with technology and the sounds and preamps and everything that it's almost like it's time to recollect, the roots where we came and influence that into the sound. I find like there's so much to learn and so much to kind of get those old testimonies from the past and implement them in the new time. I could talk about it forever, but yes, I love that approach. I think that's the way to do, and perhaps would stick to that formula going into the future records.
What's your biggest strength as a vocalist?
Look at these great questions. I would say I have two. First strength is that I relate to lyrics 100%. Like I give myself to the moments. I don't think about past, present. I'm just in the moment and the words. So I'm very authentic when I sing. It's a crime. It's a curse and a blessing almost, because I do get choked up often if I sing sad, depressive topics, and I get so into my emotion and connection that I gotta really get a grasp. So that's something I'm trying to work and maybe distance myself from that much of immersion, but it is my strength. And the second, I would say, my interaction with people, like when I perform live, I love seeing reaction, and nothing makes me happier than this one person who kind of doesn't seem to care. And I'm like, okay, now it's a personal mission. I need to turn this guy at the back of that room with arms crossed to at least smile, and I do some shenanigans on stage, and like the guy ends up, okay, all right, you got my heart. And that's like the biggest gratitude. I get almost reignited on stage when that happens, because we are relatively small. So I still feel like I need to earn every single heart individually, every show we do, every song we play. But I think I'm a people's person, so I think it comes across really well on stage. So
You're one of the nicest people out there. Like, I mean, we've known each other for a very long time. I love hanging out with you at shows. We've had so many great evenings at shows, like so many laughs, so many great nights. So I think if you carry that personality on stage, that's going to be nothing but great for you and the band, and people will see that you are really that person. It's not like you're playing a role or something like that. That is who you are. Like, I've seen you off stage. We see each other all the time. That's who you are. So I think that's a great attribute to have, to be able to carry that forward. You mentioned earlier that this record, which surprised me, by the way, I thought vocally you were going to be just like up here all the time. And then I press play and I'm like, okay, this is different, but it was really good. Different, but really good. Once you get over the fact that my expectations were you all the time being all the way up here, because that's what I've known of you, and then for you to come all the way down was so interesting. And you mentioned that it was maybe a little bit uncomfortable because it was new grounds for you. So when you think about that and you think about 14 songs in an over 1 hour long record, was there one song specifically that was perhaps your kryptonite?
Yes, that would be truer words ever spoken. That not a song, but an experience, may I say. It pushed me over the limits, like that song. Because you must understand, when I come into the studio, I don't start with the hardest songs. I start with the songs to kind of ease me into it. usually it's never in order. At least it's the way I record. We have 14 songs. I'm like, okay, let's start with this, with the Northern Star. That's a good start, kind of ease into it. So I saved the hardest to almost middle the end. And the True of Words, like you've listened yourself, all over the place genre wise. So I felt like it was my duty to almost sing it on an edge, you know. And there were quite a few sections which quite literally didn't give me a crack in the voice. It was very controlled. It was a conscious choice, artistic coloring, if you will, but it gave me those jazz chords I was talking about earlier. And I've never sung jazz, and it just gave me that rustic, like, what is that sound? I was asking myself. I was like, what the hell? And I'm like, band, yeah, let's track it again. That was crazy good. And then I would do a few more takes, and I kind of, fill it in my throat where it sits in my palate. And I'm like, holy shit, it's like a new instrument, new little, paint I've added to my like palette of colors. It blew my mind. So after that song, I definitely took a minute and sat down. I'm like, you know what, guys, I need a break after that cracked note. But like you said yourself, it's differently. How would I put this? New territory for the listener for sure. But I feel like I've solidified like halfway through into it, and we on tour already realized that it's much more epic for me to do the belts when we went to Europe with Schenker, because I don't sing all the songs the way they are on Cleopatra Live. I actually use a lot of belting. It just looks so badass, so ballsy. I walk out in leather pants, like Doro, like I've got this, like, and people love that because they're like, oh, Tarja Turunen, we've seen that, done that. And then you again bring back to basic, like Doro, Dio, we're talking like back in like 30 years ago. And people are like, holy shit, yeah, we've missed that sound. We've missed a chick sounding like that. And it just, the crowd warms up, opens up, and I see that interaction. So I do more belting, more belting. That's how it came to be on the record too. After tour was a big revelation. Now I'm comfortable with that. So expect more of that on shows.
I'm looking forward to it. Now, is there someone or something that you can credit for your amazing vocal evolution and how much growth you've had as a vocalist and as a musician?
Yeah, no, definitely. How would I put this? A story in the making. I've started definitely classical, head on, Tarja Turunen, my goddess forever. And it's such a comfortable range for me. It's always been my voice to sit in that like mezzo, soprano range. And that's what got me into metal. I was freaking, 7 years old. I started listening to Nightwish, and just was thinking, wow, I can't believe a human can sound like this and be in the rock music. Wow, what's this? So for years to come, I would sing over the Nightwish songs, particularly the Tarja era. And there's this interesting feature about human voice that the more we listen to it, our vocal folds actually mimic, even if we don't vocalize as listeners, they mimic the posture, the position of what you're hearing. So I would definitely say I'm really good at like figuring out the anatomy and mimicking the singers I love, especially repetition, you sing along. And then in a year, you can almost like identically, do the same, like little tweaks and stuff and the colors in the voice. But again, it's like we need to learn the rules to break them. It came to a point that I'm 27 now. I'm getting to my 30s, and I can't just be, oh, she sounds like Tyra, she sounds like Tyra, she sounds like Tyra. Like I got tired of it. I want to sound like me. I want to sound like Alina. This is an Alina sound. I feel like I have this responsibility to influence the younger generations who are coming into the metal and younger singers. It brings me so much joy seeing that I can inspire somebody to pick up an instrument and begin that journey. So hence why I started experimenting and being more comfortable to not sound pretty, which was this rock journey evolution, because classically I'm trained like up and down, left and right and center. It's been like a hardcore training in university. I've done it for all my life. And rock music was purely intuitive. I never had a rock voice teacher. It was just, again, this weird thing I can do anatomically, just listening and like copying the sound, implementing into my body and kind of giving something new to the audience. So Bruce Dickinson, huge inspiration, Dio, and I just started listening more of them, and I realized that I sound like ballsier, manlier for sure, darker. But you know, the moment I let go of this, oh, that's an ugly sound, it's actually kind of cool. And I really like, you know, stepped into it. I embraced that. It surprised me. My body was like, thank you. Finally, you're not fighting this anymore. That's how you sound down here. And it just rewarded me with so much beautiful music and sounds I could produce. I just was a little shy, a little like, is it the way? But I figured it out, and my body's like, okay, we on, you know, we have a system now, me and my voice. It's like if I, okay, click my fingers, it knows what to do. And I'm forever grateful that I trusted myself, you know, I caved into this feeling. I would suggest to every musician to, you know, after you've had inspiration for so many years, to tap into yourself, back into your body. Listen, like either singer or a guitar player, listen to what feels right, what your body kind of guides you, you know, and go there, take that risk. This is what I did. And I'm so glad I did. Thank you, gods, or whoever, you know, aligned that for me. It's new sound. I love it.
One last question for you. Plans for 2024. What's in the cards for you guys? And will I see you guys perform here in Toronto?
This is such a, okay, because everybody in Canada asked me this question for so many years, and too bad COVID happened. So that kind of screwed our plans over because we were going to come. But 2024 hopefully is the year. We are going back to Europe. Obviously, that's the biggest market, for to Denmark, to their festival at the end of August. So before that, we need to do a CD release show, of course, which will be in Jersey. Unfortunately, guys are from New Jersey, 4 of them. I'm in Canada, so it logistically makes sense for me to fly and to that show. We plan to do entire Venera in its entirety, this entire over hour-long record from start to finish. I gotta start practicing for that. All right, so all these notes, all these jazzy chords, and we're gonna do that once, only once, because obviously it's such a long commitment, such a long record. But after that, we're currently shopping around for tours, and it's going to be a mixture of Venera and Cleopatra. Obviously, people want to hear the singles from the previous record. We love playing them. Ideally, we definitely need a symphonic metal rooster on our tour, like Delane, Camelot, Cassandra. That's what we're aiming for. But you never know. Schenker was definitely a surprise, and it was very big success for us. So maybe would come with Queensryche or somebody classical in the metal rock industry. But definitely I'm bringing them to Canada. I told them, guys, you know, if we come to Canada, we come with a bang. We need a great tour with a great lineup, so we can bring all my friends. And it would be just so important to me to play Toronto in this formation with this band. It's long overdue, and I just can't wait. I think it's going to be such a big party after. I'm so excited whenever that happens, because it will, just a matter of time.
You better put a limit on the guest list spots, because you know everybody's gonna
This is so true. I swear to God, always happens.
everybody's gonna hit you up like, hey, you know, can you
Yep.
get me a ticket for the show? Everybody's gonna hit you up. So
This is so
you better
funny.
put a cap on it, or not give any to anybody, whatever, because otherwise, you know, it's gonna be a disaster. You're gonna be spending all your money on guest list spots for everybody in Toronto,
So
at least at
funny.
the Toronto show.
It's gonna happen. I already can see it, because everybody already saying, okay, make sure you text me. Okay, I'll come. I'll bring my family, my grandparents. I'm like, oh my God, this is good. We need like a big venue for this, the whole big party. It's like a Dragon Force song, like the party song. Oh my God.
Yeah, you guys need to book the Danforth just for your family and friends and everybody in Toronto, just for you. Never mind people that want to come that
I
don't
think
know you.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please? I think you cut out for a second. Yes, one more time, please.
No, I was going to say you need to book the Danforth just for your family and friends and everybody in Toronto. Because never mind the people that want to see the band that don't know you, but just the people who know you. You need a big venue like that.
I
Just for
swear to God,
everybody.
I'm gonna start writing them right now. I mean, guys, just so you know, when it's time, this is the venue. You're absolutely correct. It's gonna be wild. I can't wait. It's gonna be
Yeah, I
exciting.
think it's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys perform in Toronto. I was blown away by the record. We had talked about We crossed each other's paths. Last time I saw you, I think it was at Dragon Force show,
That's right.
and that's when you told me the album was coming out December 8th, and I was like, okay, let me reach out to the label to get the record so we can do a review, we can have a chat. And I came in with moderate expectations. I don't want to be disappointed. I want to come in because, like you said earlier, the genre is there's a lot of bands within this genre, so it seems like oversaturated. The moment I pressed play, I was like, wow, December 8th, really? Like, couldn't this album come out like in August or something like that? Because I
Exactly.
thought more from a press point of view, and how many people would be talking about it on their favorite albums of the year because of how good it is. The production is phenomenal. Your vocals, I think they're the best that I've heard from you. Like, super warm, super textured. You still give us the highs. It's not like you completely went away with it. You still give us that core of who you are, but to give us this other side of you, it was just really beautiful album to listen to and to really enjoy. And then you did what I always want to hear, which is, if it's a symphonic power metal, don't skip on the power. Make sure there is power. So the fact that there's a lot of guitar playing, really good guitar playing with solos, melodies, leads, everything. Great record you guys have.
Thank you so much. That means so much coming from you, because
And
you've
I'm not saying this because we're friends.
no,
Like,
you have
I
so
mean it.
experience in albums. That's literally you in a nutshell. You're such a huge enthusiast in music, and it just means the world coming from you. I couldn't have thank you enough. It's everything we hoped for, and we're very nervous because the record is a risk. Like you've noticed, it's a different side of all of us, and it's gonna. I always say people are gonna love it or gonna hate it because it's very ballsy in many ways. So it means so much, and that the review you've given us is just exactly what we hoped people would see as we do. And other reviews are coming in right now too, and people see the same things universally, globally. It just, damn, we're doing something right. It's so reassuring. So next record is going to be even bold, you know what I mean? Bigger, better, ballsier, because we found that niche. I think we're finding that voice that's us. It's not like, oh, they are just like it's not Nightwish anymore. Definitely not Nightwish. You listen to it, it's barely Epica, barely Nightwish. It's its own, this more hybrid thing that's Everdawn. And this is
Mhm.
what I love. I want to be authentic or original, myself, and not like anybody else. Just back to my point, step back into who you really are and just screw it, embrace it, whatever.
Per- Perfect. Thank you very much for your time today. All the best with the release, and I'll see you at the next show.
Yeah, absolutely. Meshuggah, you coming to Meshuggah?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Nice. I'll see you in a week, I guess.
I'll see you soon.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time, Pedro. It was a pleasure.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.